I came from the mud. There's dirt on my hands.
Welcome to Build an Iconic Life podcast. I'm your host, Chris Whitehead, and this podcast is dedicated to help you build a life with zero regrets by focusing on how you have everything you need to stand up, stand out, and live life on your terms. Let's dive right in.
We have a house in Arizona. My wife is from Puerto Rico. We have a house there.
Mhm.
But I look out I'm right across the street from this beautiful park. It's so green here. And you have, the food, I'm a big foodie, and the farm fresh food. So I want to buy a farm. I'm a farm kid, so I just love working out on the farm and, doing stuff. And so have a place in the city and then a place on the farm.
Dude, that is so cool. How did you get into digital marketing? Because you're a tax guy, right? You're a CPA.
Well, I started I just wanted to do finance. And so I wanted to do private equity, like hedge fund, buying and selling businesses.
Mhm.
And I was a shy, quiet kid from Northwest Indiana. And so I didn't know anybody. And so I just kept pulling the string. And I eventually ended up becoming a consultant for one of the best companies in the world called Willamette. It was private asset valuation. And so I've learned how to value private, non-marketable, illiquid assets, which is super complex. And so out of that, I said, okay, well, I'm going to go buy a business. I quit that, went and bought a business, started a real estate investing community of over 1,000 people because I didn't have a whole lot of money and I still didn't understand how to really predictably make money. I was making money, but I didn't really understand how, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And then one day it just all came together. And so we still do real estate. We have 4 portfolio businesses right now.
Pardon me.
But my goal was always ever since I was 16 years old, I had 3 goals: travel the world, make a lot of money, and help people. And my coach is like, well, why can't you do it all at once? And, it was like, because, and anything after because is the solution, right? So she just, she challenged me. She says, why can't you have it all? And so I figured it out. We have teams all over the world. And I have an adventure, like when I was a kid, all I did was go and hang out in the woods and dig holes. And I just wanted to go, like, what's over there? What's over there? What's over there? It just kept going. And so I'd ride my bike, and then I got a car and I'd go to the next state over. And then, it's like, let's go to the next country over. Now it's like, let's go around the world. And so I really love motorcycles.
Yeah.
So I have a adventure bike, and I love hanging out with tribes and just doing, outdoorsy stuff, being with nature. And it just really, that's where my spirit is.
I think it's a beautiful thing, and I think it's a testimony. When I became an entrepreneur, it was very frowned upon. You were supposed to, get at least your bachelor's, if not your master's or doctorate, and join a corporation, and they'll take care of you. And my generation was the first generation of watching the golden parachute get holes in it, and so I ventured out there, and it's so cool to see fresher, younger minds go, what do I want to be when I grow up? And then actually go do it their way, because so much is available. The internet really, in college, I was researching virtual reality. So it was right in 95, right at that time frame. And so the internet really wasn't that big of a thing yet. And what's available now is amazing. So it's so fun for me to see people that didn't get themselves bogged down with, landline businesses and children and commitments to family members and all that. And you're like, hold on, before all this goes super crazy, I'm going to start going down this pathway. Because one of the things that you said that was really interesting, so you had over 1,000 members in real estate, right? So know how to gather communities together, I'm assuming.
Yeah, that's what every business I do.
How to do that?
So I sold a direct sales. So I quit my big corporate job, and I bought a mastermind. And the mastermind, so I moved back to Indiana, and so I had to drive to Chicago, Downers Grove area. And it was a 2-hour drive both ways. So I did that every day for 3 years just to be part of this mastermind, because I didn't know anybody. And so they sold an education. It was $20,000+, and the benefit was, hey, come be part of our community. And so I got to, I started cleaning up and putting chairs away and cleaning bathrooms, and it's just like being part of the community. And I was just like, okay, I just learned it by because I was in one. And then I
Mhm.
moved to Arizona, and I just got hungry for community. And I was like, you know what? I was part of one in Chicago. Why can't I create one here? And we started it in my buddy's little office. It was 12 of us. And, I was consistent. I was always there and just showing up and giving more than I ever asked for, and just doing business with integrity, and, just treating people honest
Yeah.
and right. And people just wanted to be part of it because there's so many other people out there that aren't doing that.
Yep.
And so, I've learned a lot about people. When you put inexperienced people with experienced people and money, oh my God, it's like a recipe for disaster. And
Yeah.
so, I learned a lot about people and communication and keeping. I say I'm a peacekeeper, right, between people. And so that's everything I do today. Is I build communities, and then I offer services inside of that community with the general vision of how do we make a difference in the world. That's sort of my
Yeah.
underlying. Yeah.
So you and I have very similar paths. In 2012, I started a community on Facebook called Think to Succeed Mastermind,
Okay. Okay.
and we got several thousand. It was a free community, but several thousand people inside of it. And then I created a $9.97 digital program where I
Okay.
walk people through Napoleon Hill. So Napoleon Hill and the Success Principles actually has an outline of how you say your I am statements to manifest what you want. Talking
Okay.
about the unconscious mind, talking about the difference between, not the difference, but the correlation between belief, action, and desire. And you just keep going along that triangle until you get a white hot desire. So I created a program called Activating My Purpose, and it teaches people to put their goals out, speak it in the positive or write it in the positive, what you're going to give back, which is your purpose in life.
Right.
And then making sure that you thank God for it. And then we would have people put it on their phones and listen to it while they slept. So you're auto
Oh
training your
yeah.
brain. And it took off like wildfire. It was the coolest thing ever. Like I remember on my iPhone in 2012, the first time I'd ever made a digital sale, because I tried Elite Airsoft Store before, found out that direct shipping for $5 profit a pop did not work when the guns were broken. Anyway, so I was one of the suckers that bought all the stuff and then realized $30,000 later, like this won't work. But when that phone started showing PayPal 997, 997, 9, it was just down the screen. I was like, oh my gosh, you really can make good money giving people packaged information, not information that I created, but
Right.
I amalgamated into something that is useful. And I've been kind of hooked on that ever since of, yeah, how can I synthesize? I read a lot and listen to a lot of audiobooks and talk to a lot of people. How can I synthesize information to be as impactful as possible? And
Right.
then bring people in and share with them simple business stuff. It's not over the top crazy stuff. It's really helping people live in the 4 correct pillars of life. 5 total, but faith, family, fitness, finance, and fun. If you
Okay.
can do all of those things together, and most of us entrepreneurs get really strong in one pillar, but we let others go. Um, but if you can do those kinds of things and you can do it consistently and you can do it with a group of people, the draft effect is
Oh yeah.
amazing. And it just sounds like it's the exact same experience that you've had. And
It's funny. I just had the vice president of Think and Grow Rich Institute on my morning call today, and so I'm so in that world of it. And I did this. I remember my first personal development. Um, I was in that mastermind in Chicago,
yeah,
and they're like, "You got to get here on Sunday. Del Hargis is coming." I hired him, but I was like, "Who's Del Hargis?" And they're like, "Oh, he's a personal development guy." I go, "What's personal development?" Like, because where I came from, you either drank, went to church, or you didn't talk about it.
yeah,
And so I chose drinking. That was sort of my
yeah.
my angle. And I was just a miserable person. And I was just trying to figure out life. And this guy came in and he just started talking about how you can change your life and you can become a better person and you can be happy. I literally cried for 4 hours. I was just like, there's the door to this hell I put myself into.
Hmm.
And I went and I bought a book and I never put it down over the last 10, 12 years. and I'm always in a coaching program. I have a personal development coach twice a week. It's such a world that you really can have anything you want. But you got to get through your own crap, right? And so it's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, we're taking the iconic people now through laws of manifestation, right? The law of
Okay.
attraction kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And instead of talking about it, either digitally or physically, people come over to our home. We have a big house, and everybody sits around, and we literally go through a workbook where we're working through stuff.
That's so
And
fun.
the coolest part about it, man, this one lady that wrote the book, there are 4 rules that you must follow in order to manifest anything, right?
What's the book
The
called?
excuse me, your life is waiting.
Oh, really? Okay.
The incredible power of feelings. And so
Okay.
the whole idea behind manifestation is not what you think, it's what you think makes you feel a certain way, and that feeling sends out a vibration.
I feel
And
it right here in my chest, right? It's like
yeah,
a joy, like a love,
yeah,
like a generosity, right? It's
yes.
just, yeah.
And so you only need to take 16 seconds with a thought. And it doesn't matter whether it's I want health, wealth, abundance. It doesn't matter. It could be very specific. It could be general. It doesn't matter. But as you send out that frequency for a minimum of 16 seconds, it's already starting to find something similar to it, because
That's so good.
the universe just expands, man. And it actually, positive things grow much faster than negative. And you can see that just by how the earth grows, right?
Right.
But a lot of people are programmed, and you know this, are programmed or focus on the negative things in life, which is a really low vibration. And so if you go around and you say, I don't want to be broke, you're actually thinking about the bad feeling of being broke. And that's the energy that you're sending out. So then maybe a car crash happens, or maybe, a job goes sideways, or a client does this, or blah, 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 blah. And then that then becomes the thing. So what
Right.
we're teaching people is, number one, get out everything that you don't like. Like, just write it all down, or let's discuss it. Then, what do you want? We want to talk about what you want. Then all we do from what you want is set in the feelings of what you want. And it's so simple. Think about this, Zach. Name a negative word, something that has happened in your life that when you think about that, you don't like it.
Like a feeling or an action, or
A feeling.
getting made, let's go anger.
Anger. Okay. Now
Yeah.
think of a positive word.
Peace.
Peace.
Of
Okay.
mind. Yeah.
If I told you now for about 1 minute, I just want you to sit back, and I want you to think of everything that makes you angry, right? And I want you to feel it. And we'll give you 1 minute to do that. Then you're done. And I say, hey, now, Zach, I want you to think for 3 minutes about peace. Anything that comes to mind, but only think about that.
Uh-huh.
What I want you to focus on in both of them after you're done: how did it feel when you were thinking about anger? How did your body feel? I know when I did this exercise, my body started doing this with the negative
Right.
word.
Right.
And when I started doing the positive word, first I got this
Just
warm sensation in my solar plexus.
That's where I
And
get
then
it too, right? Yeah.
then I got this like stupid little grin on my face. And then I could just feel my body relax. And I was just kind of feeling joyful.
Right.
And so once we teach people the third step, which is how to feel it, the fourth step is create an intention behind it. Be specific about something. We are literally, so we've been doing this now, this round we've been doing now for 6 weeks.
Okay.
People are texting me and calling me every day, the serendipitous things that are happening in their life, and they're joyful about it. And here's the cool part, bro. Just never go back to thinking about what's bad, even if it just happens to you. You get into a horrible fight with your wife, and it's the he said, she said scenario, blah, 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 blah. Cool. I tell you what, don't drive down the road and try to figure out whose fault it is. Just think about peace, and
Yeah.
you'll start attracting it more and more to you. And that becomes that same thing in Napoleon Hill, talking about belief, action, desire. Belief, action, desire. Belief, action, and you just keep spiraling upward. So the law of attraction works. It's that most people won't invest enough time doing it the proper way to get
Right.
the
Right.
result from it. And that's why I've stayed in personal development for so long, because I, like you, left to my own devices,
Oh,
I would go kind of rogue, bro. You know what
I
I mean?
quit for 2. So you ever heard of Landmark Forum?
Yeah.
So I spent 4 years in that. And
Wow.
it was, yeah, so I did, they have like an entry one and then the next one, and the next one, and the next one. And so I was just so hungry for it because I woke up one day and I said, if this is, I had the dream job making, the big money, published author in the world of finance. And I said, uh, I had no peace. And I said, if this is life, I don't care if I live or die because this life sucks.
Mm.
And it was just like, oh, I was drinking all the time, just try to like escape. And I couldn't I didn't have any peace. And so it was literally, I would say, probably saved my life. And so today it's just, I just get happier and happier and happier. But I know if um, I quit for 2 years or like a year and a half. I just slid back down that mountain and I just told myself, I will always have a coach. I will always be. And so now it's like, I feel so great, like just that joy and the love and the generosity of life and just being like, I don't need really anything. I'm just happy. I don't
Yeah.
need the material stuff. But when,
Yeah.
I'm still human and I get triggered and like, it's like, I'm angry. I need to call my coach. Right.
Yep.
It's like, coach, I need, right. And then she gets me through it. And I'm like, all right, thanks, coach. Back in the game of life. But I can feel it like bring me down because I've worked so much up here and it's just like, oh, I'm miserable right now. How quick can I get back to there?
Yeah. And it's truly a choice.
Yeah.
And, I think I truly believe in this life. And I think everyone listening to this right now, life is happening for you. Every negative thing that's ever happened to you, you asked for it. You wanted it. The question is, do you want to repeat it? Because if you don't learn the lesson from it, you will repeat that until the lesson is learned. And so if people are not getting what they want, and I know it's hard to accept, but every single negative thing that's ever happened to you, no matter how horrible that is, you made a contractual agreement coming into this meat suit that that's what you needed to experience.
I
And
would
it
totally agree.
and the discipline of life, in my opinion, is learning how to rise and rise again through that process and don't going, I'm willing to do the hard work during peacetime so that I don't bleed during wartime. Because just like you, dude, every time I let my foot off the gas, life starts coming at me and just nipping away at the edges. The next
Right.
thing you know, Chris is down in the mouth, and I'm Mr. Positive. And I'll get down in the mouth. I'll start complaining about the kids. I'll start complaining about my clients. I'll start complaining about my left foot. I'll start complaining like it doesn't matter.
Anything.
And the next thing you know, I'm getting more and more and more of that. I'm so grateful that I have a community of people around me that kind of go, wop, dude, that's not you. I also have a wife that goes, wop, that's not you. I'm really glad she's into personal development too. But I choose to live this way because I want to experience abundance. I want to experience true joy. I want to have friendships and deep conversations. I want to be able to reach new people and meet them and go, oh my God, like I'm not the only crazy person in the world. This is
Hey, I'm a
freaking
dreamer.
amazing.
Found
Right,
another one.
right.
Yeah.
Just stab them and put them in the pocket. I mean, I
Totally.
absolutely love it. And I want more people to be inspired by it just like you do, because I remember reading your bio that you sent and you're like, it's not just about educating people on finances. You want to do good for the world.
Right.
You want to help people live an abundant life.
Right.
What if we collectively start helping people more and more? We can turn this thing around. We truly can, but it's
Well, I
going to
think
take a lot of energy.
I've learned, like, I created this game and I'm working on it. It's called Learn and Grow Rich, the game of giving. And it's like, so I went from selling a $20,000+ mastermind to giving all of my master classes away, to giving my software away. I'm like, how much can I just give away? Right. And it's like, oh my gosh, that feels really good. Right. That just feels good for my spirit. And obviously I still charge for stuff. I just charge for the services now and the education's free, right?
Mhm.
Um, and it's but it in so when I was in Landmark, right, and there was a lot of just it's all internal, and it's like, oh, every time this voice in your head, this chaos we have in our head is like we would learn, okay, when does it go away? Well, it goes away when you focus on somebody else, right? So I would be leading these conversations. They were intros, that was like the first time I really got the essence of, oh, when I'm with the person across from me and I'm making my life dedicated to making their life better, I'm not focused on all my crap, right? And it just, and it's just it got bigger and bigger and bigger and snowball. And it's like, okay, I'm at peace when I'm giving. And it's a beautiful space to be.
We talk a lot about go giving, right?
Yeah.
In the
There's
law
a
of
book on that,
reciprocity.
right?
Yeah, there is.
Go Giver.
The go giver, yeah. And with that comes the law of reciprocity, right? And this idea, dude. So I was in college, and a student professor. I was walking. So I went to JMU, and it's in Virginia.
Okay.
And the computer science lab was across the highway, and it was in these little trailers. So
Okay.
we would take a land bridge across the highway, and then you would have to walk through some gardens up to the trailers. And I remember I was walking the trail, and a student professor of mine was walking in front of me, and he had on this army green backpack slung over one shoulder. And on the bottom was sewn this patch that said, "Practice random acts of kindness and senseless acts of beauty." And I remember Zach looking at that, just kind of sighed, because I was like 19 or 20, and my life was chaos, and I'm trying to figure everything out, and I pretty much realizing I know nothing about anything. And I remember seeing that, in the same feeling in my solar plexus went off, like, just that's joy, man. And over my life, same as you, I'm the one that gets the biggest gift when I go give,
Right.
like always. Because I know I'm not being a selfish prick. I know that I'm doing it from a genuine place. I mean, random acts of kindness and senseless acts of beauty often mean that the person that you're blessing has no idea that you're even doing it for them.
Right.
And I even started learning that in my own relationship with my wife. How often do I want to be recognized for the gift that I'm giving, and how many fights that can start versus
Yeah.
no, when I say I unconditionally love someone, that means I want to constantly see the best happen for you. It's been one of the best mirrors in my life to start learning about, why is little Chris not being taken care of? And what do I need to do to heal that fella so that I can be more of exactly what you're talking about? Because, bro, it is pure joy
It
when,
is.
when we help other people. For me, it is anyway.
Yeah, I did an experiment down here. So in Medellin, Colombia, I was just so Fridays I'll do a couple more shows here, and then I go out and I journal. So I just walk
Yeah.
around and I was like, oh, this guy came up to me, and he the best sales guy. I don't know if he was telling me the truth or not. He comes up to me and he was a English speaking guy, and he just starts giving me this pitch of how he came here and he did a job interview, and and I just like, I'm a sales guy. I mean, by trade, or right. And I'm like, I don't care if this guy's honest, or I don't
Hustling
know if
me or
he
not. Right.
he got it. He got the hook. He got the whole process. And so, I gave him a little bit of change, and then I was just thinking to myself, and I was like, well, was he lying or was he telling the truth? And so it was this inquiry. So I went and I found some other people. And I was like, oh, another people came up to me, and I gave them a little something. I was just sort of checking it out. And I was like, I don't know if these people are lying or telling the truth, right? But what I do know is I feel amazing, right? And I'm just like, okay, they're the one that has to go to bed with the honesty or the lie. I get to go to bed with a good deed, right? And it was just, it's and I've never felt, I can't get that feeling any other way,
Yeah.
right? Yeah,
Yeah. I believe it's because it's pure.
right.
The,
Yeah.
the, I started business at 24 years old, and I started in construction, which is I knew nothing about, right? So there was a decent period of my early career where I would see if I could stick my arm all the way down someone's pocket to the shoulder socket and tickle their toes, because I was looking for any little bit of money that they had to give me.
Right.
And I was really desperate, man, and in my head, because I was overwhelmed. Owning a business, learning about construction, learning how to sell and market, and all the things. But I also noticed that the kind of clients that I attracted weren't too much different than me.
Right. They were trying to reach in your pocket and get everything they could out. Yeah.
And as I so I started personal development at about 20 with a book called The Road Less Traveled by Scott Peck, MD.
Okay.
And that's what captured me. And then I went and saw Brian Tracy speak on stage, and he added some personal development in there. And then I've never stopped. But as I would become aware of me being a hypocrite, I didn't like that feeling. So I just kept going higher and higher and higher with it for the same reason. I was looking for something that made me feel good.
Right.
Giving with no ulterior motive, with no expectation of anything in return, I cannot find a better ROI for the effort
totally
given.
agree. Yeah.
Not
I
one
mean,
on earth.
we were talking about that earlier. So I had Armin Shafi. He was the vice president of the Think and Grow Rich Institute. He was with him for 10 years. And he just moved on because he's, he had the money. He had all the stuff that I went through the same thing too. And it's like, I'm just not happy. And, so we were talking this morning about, and I brought him onto my team, and it's like, and he explains it so much more eloquently than I do, but it's like, just all of this stuff that we think, right? And, well, he said this, he goes, we don't have goals. He goes, we have problems that we're trying to solve. Right. And so it's like, well, if your goal is make $1 million, that's not the goal. That's a problem that you're trying to solve. And he just sort of reframed it. And I was like, and so, that was just a couple hours ago. And so I still haven't had a bunch of thought on it, but it really struck me. It's like everything these big lofty goals of getting the dream job and making the money and doing the thing, I'm searching for a feeling. And he's like, well, what if you could just have that feeling now without all that stuff? Right. And he goes, when you can get to that point, which, I really have. And so now I'm like trying to slow my life down and do less and just be, I look out my window here and it's a beautiful park right across me. I hear the birds singing. It's like, I just sit on my front porch all day long and just be with myself. And, but at the same time, I have a huge desire to make a difference in the world that elevates that feeling. And I love that you feel it too. It's right here in the solar plexus, just like this warm joy. And it's like, and so I try to pay attention to how I feel with everything. And when I'm giving, that's just that thing singing out loud, man.
When I was younger, and honestly not that much younger, maybe up until about 5 years ago, I worked very, very hard. And there's something in our society that, and I'm an East Coast kid too, right? So it's like East Coast people are just like, we're up first thing in the morning and we drink
a farm
coffee.
kid from Indiana, so I get it. Like, yeah.
And then I started coaching all of these entrepreneurs that were highly successful, and this alpha mentality of just go, you got to get what you got to get. And I started just seeing the fallacy in, there was a parable told. It's not a parable, it's a joke, but it's like there are two bulls at the top of a hill. One of them's an old bull and one of them's a young bull. And the young bull says, hey, see that herd of cows down there? Let's run down there and grab one. And the bull said, why don't we walk down there and take them all? Right? And so what I've learned is exactly what you said. I do less now than I've ever done, and I have way more success than I've ever had because the moves have to sit properly within me before I take them.
Right.
Versus just action. Because, dude, I used to throw so much mud against the barn door that I'd knock it down. And there's a better way. There truly is. And I agree with you. Like, if people would take the time to meditate, to go walk in the park, to open their eyes from their phone and just look up.
Right.
And observe, life is constantly feeding us with beautiful information, lessons coming in, serendipitous moments that keep occurring, and you become curious. And like, I'm like you, dude, I get goosebumps because you talk, like, just like you, I was the kind of guy, I was like, I'm going to dig a hole here. That was fun. Didn't find anything, but I bet you the gold's over here. I bet you it's here.
Right.
And I spent a lot of time on like 11 or 12 acres of land just by myself growing up. Next thing you know, what if we drive here? What if we go here? What is this experience going to be like? And that kind of curiosity is spurned from not being self-absorbed, but just being aware.
Right.
And like you, maybe like you, mine was drawn because I was bored as shit, man. Like I was in the wood.
Oh
Huh?
yeah. As a kid, you're talking about, or
Yeah,
like, oh, dude,
yeah.
I was just like, I was so bored. I hated school. They tried kicking me out because I was just like, I was this farm kid that grew up running around. You know, we had a bunch of acreage, and then they tried to sit me in a chair, and I'm just like, oh my god, like antsy. And yeah, I just wanted to roam, and I wanted to like build something. I felt like I want to create. You say dig. I used to just dig holes for random. Like I just was like, what are we doing? And then and it's funny because my mom and dad sort of split up when we were in second grade. And I remember one day I was this kid just full of life, full of energy, and just and then we moved. So my mom picked us up from school one day. She says, "Hey, we're moving. Me and your dad, I don't know the words, but that was sort of the thing." And so I
Mhm.
moved to Illinois and then I was so scared because it was so new. And then I got beat up every day, right? And so what I did is I shut down
Mhm.
and I said, if I don't talk, I don't get beat up. I'm not going to talk, right? And so that's sort of how I spent my life is like I'm just the quiet guy. And so I've had to go through a lot of personal development to get all of that crap out of me so I can return back to that kid that was just full of life and share, just excited about the world.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So it's really crazy. So my parents got divorced when I was 2.
Okay.
My dad moved about 4 hours away.
Okay.
So by the time I was 11, I was on Trailways buses every other weekend, going back
Okay.
and forth, a lot of time alone. Um, People think that I'm an extrovert because I spend a lot of time on stage and I talk animated and all this kind of stuff. But the truth is I'm an introvert big time. Like
I'm the
in
same way.
the definition of extrovert versus introvert is how do you receive energy? Introverts receive energy by being alone. Extroverts receive energy by being in a big crowd. When I'm in a big crowd, I'm usually giving and I am
Uh,
feeding off of that energy. But several hours into that, I have to like, woo, I can feel the drain from me.
I just
And
want to
when
go
I'm,
for a walk by myself, right? Just
yeah,
like, yeah.
just to, grounding, like just I can feel my energy start to increase when I'm alone or I'm very still or it's quiet or peace is there.
Right.
I need that around me. But it's just so your story and my story are really, really similar. And so my mom was in Southern Virginia in the country, and I loved that life. My dad's in DC,
Yeah. Totally
and
different.
completely different. And um, my mom and stepdad moved to Baltimore, and so we moved from Southern Virginia to Baltimore, and I got my ass kicked several times. The difference between you and me is that I wouldn't stop running my mouth. I never put two and two
Oh, this
together.
causes this.
Yeah, no, no. Chris is a push on the pull door kind of guy, man. It's just is what it is. But I came to the same conclusion that you did. It was somewhere around 20 after reading that book that I realized I wasn't creating my life. I was parroting the one that was given to me by, my family.
Yeah.
And that was the first real adventure of me going, huh, who do I really want to be and what do I really want to do? And I remember when I started my business, I only needed like 60 seconds of courage to do that. Thank God I had it, man. Because I look back on it and was like, what the hell were you thinking, dude? But my life it's been crazy, but I would have had it no other way. I've been engaged. I get direct feedback. Either what we do is profitable or what we do is not profitable. I get to be the visionary. For a while, I was the integrator. Now I'm not anymore. And I want everybody to do 3 things. I want them to work in a restaurant. I want them to work retail, and I want them to be an entrepreneur. I want them to start their own thing because I truly believe that the first 2 teach you how to treat people,
Yeah.
and the last one teaches you how to treat yourself. And
Got it.
it's no call on somebody that has a job. There's nothing wrong with that. I want everyone to feel that they're doing something purposeful in life to make money.
Right.
I think it's a beautiful thing. This whole what's your idea of this mentality of 9 to 5, and the job is when the job's over, I don't have to think about it. Do you see a difference in personalities or energies with people that
Well,
think that
I
way
look
versus
at
entrepreneurs?
it like this because I have all these people in my community, and I mean I got people in the whole spectrum, people working at
Mhm.
McDonald's, all the way up to people that are uber successful, or I don't want to say uber wealthy, we'll call it that way.
Yep.
And so what I've learned is, and so we have 5 intentions in our or 5 principles, and I've just, instead of making rules and all that, I was like, oh, these are the principles I live by. I'm going to create them in my community. And the first one is intention. The second one is personal responsibility. The third one is integrity. The fourth one is dream big, and the fifth one is do the work. And so what I found is people lack intention. And so you said it earlier. You said you ask these people, "What do you want?" I've had people cry when I ask that.
Yeah, they've never been given permission.
They've never been given permission. And so, and I sort of found it out for myself. It was like I was doing the thing, working hard, going to college, trying to, and then I eventually reach it and I go, this is it. And so my intention was to make money. And then I made the money and I was like, well, I was obviously money helps, makes it
Sure.
easier, but it isn't the joy of life. And so I sort of look at it today and I was like, well, what's your intention? Today, my intention is the same. My purpose is to empower people to live an amazing life in all aspects of their life. And so when people come to me in my community and they go, Zach, should I do this? And my response is, well, I don't know. Where are you going in life? And, and so for some people, I think a 9 to 5 could fulfill on the intention, but I would argue that most people don't have an intention and they're just sort of doing it. And so they don't have that. At least this is my personal experience and people I experience in my community and coaching, is they're looking for something, but they just don't know how to get it.
Yeah.
And they think uh and for me it was like, well, after what, and when I'm 60 I can have it when I quote unquote retire. And so today I do not have a business, I do not have a personal life, I have my life.
Yeah.
And it's not one or the other. I'm always thinking about something of how can I make a difference, how can I support somebody, what's the next thing. And I think a lot of people they try to separate this and they say, I hate my job but I love my personal life. Well, if you hate your job, I can assure you, you're not fulfilled in your personal life, right? And so that's sort of the viewpoint I look at it. And so I've really, and I also see jobs as a stepping stone to a business if you want to do it right. And so I've seen people, and I mean, if you can successfully make it in business, you're a legend, like, because it is so hard,
It's
and
a very
people
small
just
percentage.
right? People just played off, "Oh, yeah, come to my weekend boot camp." And if you don't know anything by the end of it, you can be flip I'm using the real estate analogy because I was in that for so long. And then people get upset at themselves that they don't have that instant success, but what they don't know is, like, it took the speaker at the front of the room 20 years to do that.
Yep.
And so, I think it's, the way one of my friends said, it's like, what's your favorite chapter in the book? And he's like, well, I need all of them to get it. It's just like when you write a great essay or a great blog post, it's like you need every letter of the alphabet. And so it's like, oh yeah, the job can help you get somewhere, or the job can deliver on your intention. And you could take a crappy job and change the context. And this is what a lot of the work that I do is like, what's the context that you're living in? My life sucks. My job sucks. Oh, cool. Same person. What's the context? Oh, I get to go and change people's lives every day by serving them French fries. Like, and so I think, but that's a very deep conversation that most of us don't have access to. Like, I didn't access this stuff until I paid a lot of money. This isn't a common conversation that I found, right? And then I started getting into these conversations. I'm like, oh, the words I say, the things I think, the people I surround myself, like, this all is affecting me and my happiness. And if you're at a job, quote unquote, 9 to 5, and everyone's there is miserable, guess what? You're probably going to be miserable,
Mhm.
right? So that's sort of the way I look at it. Because the one thing I've learned is I try not to have an opinion on it. because there's people that love their jobs. I mean, I get people that make $500,000 a year at their jobs and they love it. And I'll tell you, they would not survive in the entrepreneur world at all,
Mhm.
because they're. Let me rephrase that. It would take a lot of work for them to survive, right? But those skill sets that you were talking about of the, I love, like, I don't think people can have success without other people, and the only way you're going to have other people, right? Because you have to exchange some type of value. It doesn't have to be monetary, but you're exchanging value is in conversation. And if you're not willing to have conversation and learn how to serve and learn how to give and learn how to receive the other one, right? I think. And so I think it's, that's sort of how I see it. I know that's a complicated answer, but yeah.
No, it's perfect answer because I agree with you 110%. And I kind of baited that question on purpose that way just to see how you would respond. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what anybody does because you hit it perfectly. I have never met a human being that says, I'm happy here, but I'm unhappy here, and they're actually a happy person.
Right.
It's just life. And so you kind of gave the answer at the beginning, and I was like, how am I going to get him to? I want him to explain it. And you did it perfectly because that's exactly what I learned. It's exactly what I was unfulfilled in my corporate experience, mainly because they dictated the pace at which I could run.
That's what I don't like. Right. That I would absolutely agree. Because I was like, get out of my way, I'm coming. And they're like, get back here.
Right.
I got told that it's like, you're not, I said, well, I want to raise, I want to be a partner, right? Because we were doing high end corporate finance, M&As and tough stuff. And my boss, like, I did everything. I was the first one in, last one out, read books, just committed my life to it. She goes, you don't have enough gray hair yet. I was like, ugh. And I get it today. I get it
Yeah.
today. But at the time, I was like, how to be better, right? I'll do the work. But it was like, don't outpace the master or something they said. There's a
Yeah.
couple books or something like that. And what happened was I got very good at what I did. And I didn't realize I thought I was helping. But what I was doing is I was overshadowing a lot of the senior level partners because I would find their mistakes. And in these big, huge 300-page reports. I mean, we're doing we were doing economic damages, and we were expert witnesses for lawyers. So the other opposing counsel would look at the stuff and just try to bury us. And so I had a very keen eye, and I would just find mistakes with people, and then they end up getting fired. And I was like, did I do something wrong? Right? And it was just, instead of being rewarded for my work, I was sort of like looked down upon. And so the environment, I would absolutely agree with you. The environment of places like that, and I think what I've learned is there's great businesses, and then there's crappy businesses, and it's all the leadership. It's the environment, right? And
Yeah.
so the people that I lead today, I have employees, and they love me, but I treat them. I say, okay, where are you? Where do you want to go? And I'm giving them books, and I'm developing them, and we're creating budgets for them. And I said, okay, what do you want your life to look like? And this is why I think I've never had anybody quit on me, because they're not coming to work for Zach. They're going to work for themselves, for that trip to Germany, for that
Yep.
vision
Brilliant.
that they created.
Brilliant.
And then I help stoke it, and then I give them financial metrics. Okay, because everybody in my company can make a commission somehow if they want. So they're limitless, really. And so I'm like, okay, if you talk to this many people and that many people convert, and you do this and you do that, you'll reach your goal. And then they just see it, and then it's just keeping them in between the lines.
Mhm. Have you ever heard of a book called The Dream Manager?
I haven't, but it sounds fantastic.
Oh, dude, you need to read this book. It's just get it on Audible.
I'm doing
It's
it
called
right now.
Dream Manager. And the premise of the book is a lot of people use the carrot and the stick with employees. But if you could actually uncover, and this has been done, and I've actually done this when people have called me corporately to come speak to their teams. You want to find one person in that crowd that you can actually do something for that year. Like maybe their dream is they want to get a house for their mom.
Okay.
Maybe it's they want to buy their first car. It doesn't matter. But you, as the manager, do everything that you just said, make an example of that person, and then start asking everybody in the company, what's one dream you want to accomplish this year? You want to see people turn around because
Like
you
that.
state, dude, they're working for themselves now. You've given them purpose. There
Right.
are 3 things that I learned from a guy named Dan Pink. And he's very, very popular, TED talker, all that kind of stuff. He said autonomy, mastery, and purpose. These are the 3 commodities coming after 2009 that people are going to become very aware of. And you're proof in the pudding right here, bro. People are waking up to this idea that if I can be autonomous, if I can do my job wherever I need to do my job, do it the way that I need to do it. Number 2, I'm going to be willing to start mastering that. And through the process of mastering that, I'm going to find purpose in it.
Right.
And when you combine those 3 things together, you get that white hot desire. It's the same triangle.
It's an obsession.
Yes.
It's like I'm obsessed with what I do, and all the people I work with, they're obsessed. And it's it's a good obsession. It's like a healthy obsession, right?
Yeah.
Because I also make sure that they get paid, because we use all overseas people, so we got people all over the world, and they've never been treated like this, and so they love me. They tell their friends about me. I got enough people to do whatever when we expand, but like they're obsessed with it, and then they get to have a great life, and then then the work-life balance there's no balance. It's just your life.
Yeah.
Right. And then you get to, it's an amazing experience. So I've never heard it put that way, but I love it.
Well, thank you. Check him out too, Dan Pink, but get that book and read it.
I
And
just added it on my Audible.
After you're done, I want you to reach out to me and tell me what you think about it. I think so. My whole career speaking began around 2012, and the truth was that the first person that ever hired me was my sister. She worked at an animal hospital, a very, very big one, and they had been bought over by a multi-conglomerate. So the 600 veterinarians. So veterinarians are really good at what they do, but they don't have an exit strategy.
Right. They're the business.
Right. So this conglomerate had 600 in the US, Australia, Canada, a few other places. And they start creating management teams and really expanding the business and whatnot. So they have budgets to have speakers come in. And that was the beginning of me starting down this pathway of having conversations with other people about one thing only. These people are not very different than other medical professionals because they're seeing trauma all the time. And what happens is communication starts to break down. Okay. From there, people lose the purpose behind what. Do you think a vet tech that makes $35,000 a year that's seeing dog death and cat death and all this, do you think they're doing it for the money? They're not doing it for the money. They love the animals. But what happens is because of the breakdown of the system, they lose the purpose in what they do. And that's when people flake out. And my job was to go in there and to give them a reminder
of get that fire going.
Give them a reminder of why. And that's what you're doing as a business owner. And so the whole purpose of this flame is that's inside of everyone, bro.
I get it. It all comes together now. Got it.
And it's my job to stoke that fire and to encourage other people that are willing to do it to continue to do it, because I want the world to be a better place. Totally. I'm old enough now to remember when the crickets outside and riding your bike down the road and you didn't have to worry about getting murdered.
Right, catching. We used to catch the bugs that light up at night, put them in a jar.
Lightning bugs in the jar.
That would eat a pizza and just be lay in the grass and ride a bike and
And I'm here to tell you, it still goes on, but the media now has done warmongering and fear-based tactics, and people are buying into it because they have this social media app. They have people's attentions, and it's my job and your job. We have to encourage people to say, hey, focus on what you want because you're going to be dead.
Right.
Time is the one thing you don't get more of it. And so you're a living example of that in front of other people.
I love it, man.
And that's why I want you to come back and talk to me about it, because I love collaborating with other people that are doing things, because now you're going to affect 100 to 300 people in your organization. You're going to affect the people in your mastermind group that you're already doing. And your vibration goes up 3 notches, hopefully by hanging out with me.
Oh, and dude, I could jam here all day with you, man.
And the next thing you know, you're gonna, because of that energy that we're creating, we're both going to go out and meet more people just like you and me today.
Right.
And it just keeps, And so we create the life that we want, and it feels like we're not doing it, that it's happening to us. But I promise you, we are the originators of this because we're choosing to do that.
That's so you couldn't put it any better way, man.
It's the only way I know to change the world, man. I don't
That's
want to
it.
talk about it. I'm like you. I'm going to dig holes. While you're over there explaining that you can use a shovel to dig a hole, I have a hammer and I'm literally beating the ground with it, making a hole.
Right.
That's just my
That's the only way.
personality type.
Well, I also learned, like through, again, I reference my coach a lot because she's always there for me. She's like, life is lived on the court, not in the stands. And
Amen.
most
Yeah.
people are just, and I've learned this myself. And am I perfect? No, but I swing and I get back up, and I swing and I get back up, and I swing and I get back up. And I'm not afraid to, miss. And I miss a lot with a lot of my own money but I'm like, oh, we're not going to go down that road anymore. I guess it's feedback. Everything's
Yes.
feedback.
Yes.
Yeah. And so it's, I think at the end of the day, I look at, inside of this context of learn and grow rich, I think education is the answer to everything, because I know what I've learned, and I've learned it. Like, and so I had this like little mental gymnastics things. I was like, how do I get happy? How do I do this? I actually had to read a book, and I had to learn something. And so that's why I'm so passionate. I'm just like, I will never sell education again. I'm just like, I want the world to have it. And we have things down here in Colombia that people we support. We have a organization in Kenya when we were there. And it's just like, I just want the world to have education. I want the world to have access, because a lot of this stuff is high ticket stuff, that you got to pay for it. And I understand it. Right. But at the same time, I feel a responsibility now that I know to help the people that don't know. And a lot of these people that don't know don't have the money to have access to these type of conversations. And I love like your podcast, and like, this is really changing the world, but it's like, you have to breathe it, and you have to surround yourself by it. And I just think, I just want to get up in front of the world and say, hey, you can have a better life. And this is how, follow me type thing. And
Yeah.
I'm following other people. I'm following you. And it's just like, because in the world of wealth, and I'm not talking monetary wealth, I'm talking like true wealth, joy, happiness, and all of that. We do better when other people do better. And it's easier. So that's just sort of the view that I have on life.
We got to close up for now. This has been awesome.
Yeah, dude, I really enjoyed it, man.
This has been awesome.
It's like you're an old friend that we just got reacquainted after a while. That's how I feel right now.
But that's actually true.
Right.
Not to be woo-woo, not to be weird, but the further I go down this pathway, the more beautiful things keep happening. And the test for me is when the non-beautiful thing, at least my perception of the non-beautiful thing is happening, is to just not attach to that. And if anything, just ask myself, wonder why that's showing up. See, I'm observing it. I'm not attaching to it.
Right.
And then these things, my life is just like you. I go from conversation to conversation. Dude, I talk like this with some of my clients, and I'm not talking about I'm talking my remodeling clients.
Yeah.
Now, how many construction dudes do you know go, right?
You're definitely a breeder of your own, man, to be in that industry and to be able to have this level of conversation. And so I used to be very selective, and I sort of still am, because you don't, in the way I put it is, you have to be responsible for your listening.
Yes.
And so, if someone isn't involved in a conversation like this, it may be a little bit like far out there, like woo woo, right?
Yeah.
Because I remember when I first started into this stuff, I thought it was woo woo.
Yeah.
And I was like, what are you guys talking about? But then as I started getting more and more understanding it, so definitely, everyone's at where they're at. But I think you do it in such an eloquent way, and you use such I love stories and simple examples, and I love sharing about my own mess. And I think you do that perfectly. And so it's like, okay, it's okay to have your life a mess. My life's a mess, but I still have joy and happiness. We still clean it up, and we still move forward.
We have two 22-year-olds and a soon-to-be 21-year-old, right? and I'm watching them launch.
Yeah, that's a great word for it.
And I see the burden that's been placed upon them, and I see them trying to use this circuitry.
Right.
And it's like the encouragement to truly help them launch is to be able to take this sometimes and set it down and use this and feel it. And that's a hard thing to help people do, but the easiest way that I've learned to do it is not give them the lesson. It's to watch a movie with them, tell a story.
Right.
And the same thing working with clients. It's like I'll have, especially my male clients, and they get mad at me sometimes. They'll ask me a very direct question, and I'll give them this story, and I can see the steam coming out of it.
They want yes or no.
They want to know how.
Okay, yeah.
No, brother, I'm going to teach you how to fish. I'm not going to give you the fish.
Right.
I'm not doing you or me any service. And I've been a business owner for a long time. I didn't get to where I got to by doing everybody's job for them. So you didn't hire me to tell you how. That's the easy button of you thinking you're exchanging money for my knowledge. I'm worth way more than that. Right. What I want to teach you how to do is how to think.
Right.
And that's what you do.
Yeah.
And
I call them frameworks. Right?
Yeah.
This is the framework for thinking.
That makes me a mentor, not a coach.
Ooh, I love that. Okay.
A coach will go, look, you go 5 yards that way, 5 steps that way, the ball will be there. And if it doesn't happen, they don't adjust the play.
They don't know how you said go forward, so I'm going to go forward into danger. What if I would just go? I've never heard of that. I love that. The difference between a coach and a mentor. I love it.
Yeah, and what I have felt is it's not for everyone, and it's not for every stage. But I spend time dude, I read incessantly, and a lot of it I listen to on Audible. I am constantly doing the whole like pondering thing of like, how are these things all being connected? For one thing, I'm supposed to synthesize down a whole bunch of information to a singularity and go, here, that'll serve you for the rest of your life. Because that's what I needed.
I did it for me, and then I share it with the world. So it's like all of these different religions, because I struggle with religion. I struggled with job, everything I struggle with. And I'm just like trying to put the puzzle together. And so I can and it's not a black and white thing. It's a dance, right? It's a beautiful dance. And yeah, I love the way you explain that.
Thank you. I want to continue this conversation with you because I think we have more to share. We're just scratching. Yeah. Would you be willing to come back on the podcast?
I'll come back anytime you want.
Okay. Awesome. And just set it up. We'll just do another one. I don't care if we do it next week or if we do it a month from now, whatever.
Dude, I'm hungry to talk to you more, right? It's like this.
Cool. I would love to continue to collaborate with you. I'd love to like just shout you out. Like if people want to get in touch with you personally and discuss joining your mastermind or what you have or what your information is, what is the best way for them to reach out to you?
Yeah, the best way is to go to my website. So it's called learnandgrowrich.net. That's where all my free masterclasses are. I have a free mastermind in there, and get a hold of my team and schedule a call with them, and they'll get you in touch with me. Or, I mean, that's probably the front door. The back door would be find me on Facebook, Zach Oehlman, ZACHOEHLMAN, and message me. And I have a team that checks that. I check it every once in a while, but yeah, those are probably the best 2 ways.
Brother, I appreciate you for taking time. What time is it there right now?
It is 1 o'clock.
Oh, that's not bad. It's 2 here. You're just an hour behind.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being on the show. We didn't start with an intro. Normally I go, hey, everybody.
Yeah, I was just rolling with you, man. I was like, when are we going to start this thing?
That was
so
whole
fun.
Thing. I felt a little spark, and I was like, no, let's just go. This is going to work just fine.
I love it.
Normally what I do is I say, hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Build an Iconic Life. I'm here with my friend Zach, but I will do this. Hey, everybody, thank you for taking the time to listen to what we had to say today. I really want you to start really implementing some of the things that Zach and I spoke about, because it's changed both of our lives. Right. And it's allowed us to help other people change their lives. And that has brought both of us more joy than you would ever know. But until we see you again, we will see you in the trenches. Take care.
Ciao.
Woo, bro.
Man, Chris, Thank you so much. You're like, and I really mean that. I feel like I met an old friend here. And so I can't wait for the next conversation, man.
Much love, brother. Take care of
All right,
yourself.
cheers.
Bye.
I came from the mud. There's dirt on my hands. Strong like a tree. There's roots where I stand.
Hey friend, if you enjoyed listening to this podcast, please leave a review and subscribe to catch future casts. If you really enjoyed this episode, make sure you share it so others can benefit from it as well. I'll see you in the trenches.
Try to catch me howling at the moon.